Hello, I'm Catherine Thompson, Technology Analyst at Edison, and I'm here today with Andy Thorburn, CEO of EMIS Group. He's joined us to discuss the group's first half results. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
To kick off, would you talk us through the highlights of your first half results?
Yes, a lot of highlights here actually, considering the environment that we've been all living in. And the first thing I want to do in terms of highlight is to thank our customers. And as you know, the NHS is a major part of our customer base, and also the pharmacy, the community pharmacy customer base we have, and thank them for the work they've done through the whole COVID pandemic and lockdown. They've just done an outstanding job looking after us in each of the home countries, and we're really appreciative of that, not just as customers, just as part of the overall community here in the UK. So it was our privilege to serve them, and I would also like to just put on record how brilliantly our team at EMIS did. I honestly couldn't have asked them to do any more. They really responded to the need to support two groups. One is our customers, making sure that the systems were available in the front line through the peak of the pandemic. So our team just did a brilliant job in keeping systems available, being available for our customers to respond often to 75, 100 requests a day for help, and they did just a brilliant job. And the other thing to thank them for is looking after each other. So the collaboration between our individuals, our teams across the group was really quite fantastic. We invested in mental health first aiders in the business 18 months ago, and they've done a great job in helping people adjust to some of the lockdown challenges. So I just want to put on record our thanks both to the NHS and also to the EMIS team. Turning to the business results, again, considering the difficulty out there for many, many companies, I'm delighted to say we've produced a good set of results in the period. While total revenue and profits just gone back a touch, and a couple of percent overall, we've had a very good period, again, considering the backdrop. And I'm really pleased with where we've ended up in the first half. I think they're a good set of results, and they're strong considering the world we all operate in. So it's a credit to everyone on the team to produce those results. I think also positively, our cash balance increased considerably in the period. We're also helped by the government VAT scheme, so recognising that. But overall cash position very healthy, and no debt in the business. So we're in a very strong position to navigate the choppy waters we've been through, and hopefully we won't go through going forward. But everyone worries about a second spike, so we're obviously keeping an eye on that like everyone else. I think the other highlights is we continue to execute a couple of key things. So in addition to doing system developments just for COVID, which we saw early and executed on behalf of our customers, we also delivered some significant projects for our obligations in the GPIT futures for England. So we're really pleased with that. And also, most importantly, we've kept the investment and the delivery on our EMIS-X strategic roadmap. And we will talk later on about the development we've announcing today around EMIS-X Analytics EXA, so a big delivery early in the schedule. So pleased with that. I think the other positive thing in the period was that our recurring revenue did increase. So top line slightly down, but recurring revenue up about 5%. And that's pleasing. And that recurring revenue, now 81% of the group's revenues, is a very strong part of our business model, and has also helped us navigate the difficulties in H1 well compared to others who aren't as fortunate to have that model developed. So overall, the most important thing is we looked after our customers in the crisis. I mentioned NHS, community pharmacy, and others. Most importantly, we managed to look after our colleagues in the business. And also for the shareholders, of course, we continue to move the business forward, albeit in a more modest way than we have in the past in recent growth, but a good set of results considering what we're all going through together.
And could you go into a bit more detail on performance at a divisional level?
Sure, no problem. So I guess highlights, and a low light would be too strong, but highlight first of all is that EMIS Health has gone gone forward on a strong basis in the first half. And a lot of that is to do with responding to COVID needs for our customers. So our mix of products was slightly different this time as we adapted to what was needed in the market. But a good set of results there in EMIS Health. Unfortunately, EMIS Enterprise did get a higher impact on COVID, and predominantly community pharmacy and also our PPL, so our patient marketplace, which both rely on consulting room visits from consumers or patients going into the community pharmacy. And obviously with lockdown, that wasn't happening, and also more informed that people are reluctant to go to physical locations at the moment if they can avoid them. What we did see on the EMIS Enterprise side is that the use of our digital capability increased both in information around COVID on patient.info, and also the number of people using online prescription capability through patient access app increased quite dramatically through the lockdown period. So we helped in different ways through that. So financially, EMIS Health a bit stronger than EMIS Enterprise this time, but EMIS Enterprise really hit by COVID rather than anything else that's going on in the market.
You've already talked through what impacts you've seen from COVID-19 on the business so far this year. How do you see it influencing the business for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's quite interesting when thinking from an EMIS perspective, but also from just overall business perspective. I think we, like everyone else, have now realised that unfortunately this is likely to be with us for some time, and everyone's been using this phrase, the new normal. But what we're really seeing is the need to crack on with our business, to adapt the way that we work, and to focus on looking after our customers and continue to look after our colleagues. So we think that COVID will have an impact in the macro environment we are in, and it's unpredictable. Our best view at this point is there may be local lockdowns, and we've seen those in some places across the UK. Our view is it's unlikely there'll be more national lockdowns, but you can't discount those fully. So the way we are thinking is just to get on with our business and to adapt. So during the crisis, we had our engineering team, for example, with full PPE visiting hospital locations to deliver solutions to our customers. Same for surgeries. So we equipped them, and we made sure that we had a good procedure about checking could we visit the site in advance. And those sort of things continue even with the freedoms being a little bit more at this point than they were during the core part of lockdown. We're also, visiting customers for face-to-face meetings. So I was out making some executive calls last week, and you just have to be prepared. You've got your procedures for going into buildings, your hand washing, your face masks, and all those good things. But we're starting to see those face-to-face meetings return, which is really good. And then from a social interaction point of view, we're collaborating in some of our office locations. Those are opening up again, and we're taking it one step by one step. So I think the overall view is we just have to crack on in this world, and I think pretty much everyone in business is doing the same where they can. I think from an overall market perspective is we are seeing things starting to return to more normal conditions, and we'd be hopeful and expect that to continue through the second half of this year. But there will be some uncertainty due to COVID. So the message here is adapting to the environment we're in. Moving forward, we're seeing business opportunities of the traditional type reopening now, and we continue to engage with our customers and also keep the health of our colleagues at the centre of everything we think about.
And could you give us an update on product development, not only in terms of the EMIS-X platform, but also how you may be adapting your products to the new ways of working that have been triggered by the pandemic?
Sure. Great questions. The strategic roadmap is something we committed to at the end of 2018. And one of the comments I made, we had a Capital Markets Day, was we would continue to execute regardless of short-term conditions. Little did we know that we'd had a pandemic coming, but we've been true to our word. And one of the decisions we made very early on this year is we'd continue to execute. the strategic roadmap, because we think that's the best thing for our customers and the best thing for shareholders and obviously the EMIS team. So the first point on the strategic roadmap is we continue to execute, even though we did divert some resources for 3 to 3.5 months to support special COVID changes in systems and making sure we supported the front line in the NHS, our pharmacy customers, and also the central teams in the NHS Digital, for example. So focus on delivering that strategic roadmap. In the roadmap, there's a number of key elements we're moving forward on. So the first thing is an EMIS-X. An EMIS-X is a program that will continue for a long time. There's lots of elements of it, new applications, new infrastructure, new platform. And one of the big deliverables is that we've actually now got 2.5 billion documents in the cloud on EMIS-X. So these would be individual referral letters, those type of things that would sit with your patient record. So we've got that up and running, and it's seamless to our customers. And part of what we'll do is we transition our technology. There'll be a seamless transition from some of our older technology to more of the EMIS-X technology. So a big deliverable and a great job from the team. And another example that EMIS-X is we're executing in that program. The other thing that we are updating the shareholders today, and we'll be doing a formal launch in Q4, is we've developed our first major application on EMIS-X. It's called EXA, or EMIS-X Analytics. And this is a real move forward for us on the roadmap, and actually not something we advertised that we were doing before updating the market today. This is a capability we have that allows our customers to be able to access their data and look at large data sets at scale with complex queries and be able to get the results really, really fast. And this is an important development for us, and most importantly for our customers, because with the impacts of COVID, the need for healthcare insights has never been more relevant than today. And what we see already are clinicians looking for an understanding of the risks associated with patients who may not have been through their normal traditional screening programs to see who would be at risk because of lockdown, and also, understandably, there's some backlog in accessing healthcare services. So EXA will give our clinicians a tremendous insight into risk assessment for patients, to find those people at risk, to treat them or put them on the right regime early, and to improve patient outcomes. So we're very excited about EXA. Also, what we highlight today is that we have a couple of research projects on COVID-19 that are using our new EXA toolset, the new application. And these are special projects, one particularly that's sponsored by the Secretary of State for England, and it is about researching issues associated with COVID-19. And the big thing we have are these fast tools that you can look at complex queries, but also the richness of the data that we host on behalf of our customers is there. There's over 1 trillion healthcare data points built into the system. This is also controlled by GDPR rules, and in this example, there's special legislation the Secretary of State has to enable data to be accessed centrally under certain legal conditions. It's called a copy notice, and one of the research projects particularly is under that Secretary of State legal guidance, and that's just kicked off, and the response we're getting from the users is very good indeed. So if you look at the strategic roadmap, EMIS-X documents in the cloud is one example. EMIS-X Analytics is a big new example, and that feeds into our commitment over time to have sustainable mid to high single-digit growth in revenue, and also improving our margins. The other thing I mentioned on the way through there, in things we've seen because of COVID, is the needs for healthcare insights is absolutely there today. And I've engaged with many clinicians to talk to them about their needs, and this is one of the big things. So we dreamt up this idea a couple of years ago. We kept it pretty quiet because we think it's important to the group. And none of us would want a pandemic, but we have one, and being able to bring this to market early will help everyone navigate some of the risks for patients and hopefully improve patient outcomes.
And could you give us an outline of the group's current cash position and how you intend to use the cash?
Sure. So strong cash position. I mentioned, I think earlier, that obviously companies have benefited from some of the delay in VAT payments, for example. But we're sitting at this point with about 44.1 million in cash, which is a good position, obviously at the end of June. And that's an increase in cash, I think, of 23%, which is positive as well. So what are we thinking about doing with the cash? Well, the first thing is it's been good to have that and no debt because of what's going on in the pandemic, because analysts generically across all business were worried about companies being exposed and having some cash flow difficulties because of the challenges for customers across the board. So fortunately, we're in a good position to navigate that and in a strong financial position with facilities available to us for an extra 60 million should we ever need it. So thankfully, with the nature of our recurring business and government backing NHS and indirectly some of our private sector customers, we are fortunate to be in one of the better positions to manage cash. What we are looking at is our M&A strategy. So I've talked previously about some bolt-ons, and we bought a small company in the first half, Pinnacle, which helps round out some of our community pharmacy product set, and that's settling down nicely. We are starting to think about whether there could be some larger opportunities for the group, and we will be looking to see if there are over the coming period. As we've said before, we're not in a rush, and if we do enter into a transaction or two, we want them to be the right ones at the right terms for our shareholders and that they fit in well to our business model. So M&A would be the route to use the cash. It's certainly something that we're looking at, but as I say, we're absolutely not in a rush, and we will see what opportunities come up over the coming period.
And finally, to wrap up, could you give us your view on current trading and the company's outlook on both a short and medium-term basis?
Sure. So current trading, I guess a bang up to date over the last 2 or 3 months. So obviously COVID impacted the first half for everyone, and we saw May and June was relatively quiet months for us. Understandably, once we'd fulfilled the needs for orders around COVID-19, especially on the EMIS Health NHS side, the market went very quiet because everyone was locked down. What we've seen since the end of June is green shoots of things opening up again. And although August was quietish because obviously it's holiday seasons for people, I think people took the opportunity to take some time off, whether at home or a lot of people staying in the UK because of the travel challenges. As we move into September, and we're early, we're only 8-9 days in, we can see more opportunities coming back to business as usual. And therefore, we're expecting that our trading for this year will meet board expectations. And as we've been in the last couple of years since I've been here, at this point, I always want a clear line of sight to deliver to the board's expectations, and we have that again here this year. That doesn't mean it's done. That means we've got lots of work to do. It's always a busy 4 months. As soon as we come back from the August holidays, we really are busy September through to Christmas. And we expect that to be similar level of engagement with customers. So clear line of sight, and we expect to meet board expectations for the year. As we look out, there's clearly risks on the horizon, depending on what happens with COVID, and perhaps there's positive news if we can get it under control through some of the research that's going on with all sorts of people out there to try and find a way to control the virus. In normal event, we would expect to go forward positively in 2021. Clearly, once we get towards the end of the year, we'll have a clearer view on that, but we would be hopeful of going forward positively with our business and associated results. And in the midterm, we are conscious of getting that growth rate consistently up towards the higher single digits and improving our margin. And our roadmap is a key enabler to that. And therefore, the progress in EMIS-X is good. The progress in EMIS-X analytics is new. And we're excited about that, but it will take a couple of years, 2 or 3 years to build up momentum. But we think that's a real positive development. So overall, considering the world we operate in, we're fortunate. We've got a good business model, cash in hand, and recurring revenue over 80%. And we continue to try and do the right things every day by our customers, our colleagues, and most importantly, our shareholders to deliver that growth over time.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us today for the update.
Thank you so much for your questions. Much appreciated.